Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of Higher Density Living with your hosts, Alexander McKegg and
Jason Rigby.
Jason, we're going to kick it today, and where are we going to kick it? In the what?
We're going to talk about, we titled the podcast Dreamweaver.
Love it.
That's off of a song from the 70s.
From the 70s. Great vinyl song. Yeah.
It's got to be from the 70s. We know how that goes, especially when it's talking about dreaming.
Oh, big time.
But so we're going to get into dreaming. I want to talk about, because I think this will help people understand it really well. I want to talk about the movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, so
there's other people, but whenever he's in a movie, it's always his movie.
Let's give a brief structural synopsis on this, right? So what do we got going on here?
We have Leonardo DiCaprio doesn't know if he's in a dream or not. The worlds are all turned upside down.
Yep.
He's going in and out of, and you're going to explain this better. This is my simplistic version of it. They don't know what level of dream that they're in.
Sure.
They're using it for like a monetary value, I think, to try to trick people with different things.
That's correct.
And they have controls. I think that would be the right word. Controls that they use to make sure that...
To understand that the level they're at, right?
Right, the level that they're at. And that they can get out of that level.
So you're telling me that there's dimensions within dimensions of their dreams?
Yes. That's according to the movie. But we don't know, not everything in movies are real.
Not everything in movies is real, right? But it's got to be off of some sort of basis, right?
Right.
So that begs a question. So, what are we trying to do here? So what is a dream, right? So did you have a dream last night?
Yes, I did. I had a dream last night. I can't share it with you.
No, that's fine.
No, I didn't. I don't remember what I dreamed. I know I dream every night, just about. You know? I did have a couple too. I had 3 beers last night, so maybe I dreamed about hops and.
No, you could have been.
I've had dreams like that where I've been in vats of beer.
That's crazy. No, what is that? What is that trying to teach you, right? So, if we go back to the theme of our podcast, right, all is one, right? We're talking about the connectedness of things,
right?
So, how is it that we're going to make our bridge today in this episode from the dream state, our physical reality, and understanding that all of us are all connected, right? All comes from one source, right? So, how are we going to do that? So, the first thing I want to look at is let's start with my journey as an easy example, right? So, when I first looked at dreams, I realized that all of us dream, we all do it, and we all are either extremely good at our dream recall or rather poor at it because we don't put any weight to it. And I thought to myself, if I sleep for 40 to 45% of my entire life, which is what I'm doing, maybe 8 or 10 hours if I'm real lucky, 6 if I'm on a regular day.
And we should sleep 7 to 8, right?
Yeah, we should sleep 7 to 8, right? But it's the quality of sleep really more than anything. You could get the 3 best hours of your life you ever had, and it may make up for 10 really bad hours.
Yeah, I knew a girl that way. It's quality, not quantity, Alex.
It's all about the quality. It's all about the quality. So my contention is that if I'm spending a huge amount of my life in this state where I get some sort of input from my subconscious or conscious realm, right, that I should probably try and learn from it because I have 45% of my total experience of my existence is happening at a time when I'm in a state of rest. But I'm taking only the things in my waking life, and I'm using that to make all the decisions and define who I am and how I should act and what I do. I should just learn from that. So it's my contention that, why don't I start focusing on the other part and see what it has to teach me? Because something must be going on here. And I thought to myself, maybe I can test the waters a little bit. Is there a theme that's happening? Is there something that if I begin to record it, will it show me some sort of avenue in my life I should be taking, or I should forgive someone for something, whatever that energy might be? So I began with recording my dreams. And I got to tell you, I was terrible at first, I woke up and I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell was that? I don't even remember what I just did, I'm so ready to wake up and write the dream down, I've already forgotten about it, right? Or the alarm will throw me off and I can't record it. And then over time I started to realize that as I start to get minor details, those details begin to expand, right? And then I start to write out how colorful this story actually might be, because my recall of that dream becomes so strong. And then I start to realize that I start to feel this emotional connection with the dream outside of it. Whereas if I'm walking around in my daily life, I can think about that dream like I had any other thought, right? And when people consider a nightmare, it really sticks with them, it's because there's a lot of high energy to it. Well, let's start focusing on these other things that didn't have all that really high energy that might have shocked you emotionally, right? let's focus on something that might be a little bit more delicate but has a theme to it where it's like, okay, now that I'm paying attention to it, I can understand a little bit more about myself, what these good things are, what I can do. And what I found is that as recording, hundreds of dreams, is that themes start to come in, and there's this inception thing you were talking about. I realized that some dreams are linked together, or if I go into a new day or the next week, it's going back to finish another dream that I was already in. Or maybe sometimes I find that I'm in a dream, like what happened last night, and I rolled, and I was yelling to wake myself out of it, and the girlfriend's looking at me like, "Are you okay?"
This is Inception right here.
Yeah, this is Inception right here. I'm sleeping, and I have cues in my dream, and we'll get to this, guys, and how you can do this. There's a cue in my dream where I know that I'm actually in the dream state, right? And then from there, I realized that I'm dreaming within the dream state. So I knew that the room that I was in, what I was perceiving with my mind's eye, wasn't my actual room. And it almost bothered me, made me a little uncomfortable to start, so I had to yell to get myself out of that position to then make myself up into the real room that I was actually in. Because it was almost like I'm sitting outside the body for just a moment, and I want to slap myself back into it.
Right.
Right? You ever had those dreams where you just fall and you slam back into your body?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I've had those, and then I also have where I can hover over and see myself.
Super cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it makes you wonder. So you're seeing yourself, and you remember that.
Right.
Okay. So hold on now. If current scientific contention is that memory is a physical thing, right, that happens with our neurons firing in our brain,
right,
then you've taken something that happens in the subconscious, right, in this ethereal, non-physical realm, and you've now had it affect you in this very physical realm. You've now remembered it. That's an experience. So this is something real. So there must be some sort of bridge or connection between that you floating over the body or being next to it or whatever it might be, or slamming into your body and then waking up, that what you thought you were thinking actually can have such a physical charge on the body. There's got to be a connection there. There's got to be some bridge between what we see and what we don't see.
Well, it's the same. To me, it would be the same as emotions making you sick.
Emotions making you sick, right?
Yeah, you can get so, if somebody's gone through a breakup or something, they can be so sick that it literally makes them not want to eat.
Yeah.
And it hurts their stomach.
Yeah, it could actually be killing them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people's died of sorrow and stuff.
Oh, big time. That's not an uncommon thing,
No, and then you have people that have been married for 40, 50 years and one passes away right after the other.
Correct.
Just maybe because of sorrow or just...
Sorrow, that bond has been broken up. Maybe they were sharing a life energy between one another.
Yeah, exactly. That's what... So I know what you're saying exactly. I've had that where... so I have what they would call PTSD or whatever. They label it, with them being in the Marine Corps and all the stuff that went on there. But I've been in situations where I've been, I'll get shot or something like that, and then my body will react in that dream, and it wakes me up.
And it wakes you up.
Yeah.
Right.
Or falling, or getting in a Humvee accident or a helicopter accident, and then it jars you and wakes you up, or you wake up and you're sweating.
But Jason, you're in a perfect state of rest, but then you're having something it's happening within this conscious field of thought, and it's causing you to sweat. It's causing you to wake up in a panic, right?
Well, I have my Fitbit too, so I can see.
And it's recording that.
It's recording the heart rate,
right?
And my heart rate's 100 and something. So it's like I'm exercising.
So here's my contention, right? So what you're looking at, I wanted to expand upon. So not only the fact that one, I realized that 45% of my life, I'm not paying attention to. That's a huge chunk of my life.
No, say that again. 45%.
45% of my life I'm not paying attention to. That's almost half my entire life. I don't care if you're 100 years old. You spent 50 years sleeping.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's a wild concept.
And we're just going to be not proactive on what's happening and how it's, and we'll get into that, how it's speaking to us.
Yeah, it all speaks to us. I have dreams, dogs have dreams, dolphins, other mammals. Right. Things have these dreams, right? So
have you heard about the dolphins doing drugs?
No.
Dude, this is side
Hold on, sidetrack.
I always do those, but I want us to have a fun podcast.
Yeah, no. I'll talk about drugged out dolphins.
No, they actually dolphins will get together. They have this recorded multiple times.
Okay.
They get a puffer fish, and it has those really... And they will squeeze it a little bit, and they will swim around in a little circle.
Yeah.
And take that it's like neurotoxicity.
That's a neurotoxicity, but it's just enough to give them a buzz?
It's enough to make them, it's almost like a plant medicine, It gives
so are you telling me pufferfish are the new federal class 1 drug? It's the new ayahuasca of the ocean, the pufferfish?
They've been doing it for however long dolphins have
been on.
I
don't know.
I think they're more evolved than us.
Again, we're not paying attention to the dolphins.
But they're why are they squeezing this pufferfish?
Dude, there's
put it in its
so
mouth.
smart.
And then they just sit around in a circle and they're like, I wonder if it's like teenage dolphins.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, mom and dad's gone.
Yeah, mom and dad's got to know we're going to get so messed up on this pufferfish tonight. You know what I mean?
That's so funny.
Oh, man.
So
no wonder they're doing flips and shit out of the water. You know?
Yeah, that's why they're excited all the time.
They see those huge boats. They're like, we're so fucking high. Oh, my God. They're just like,
They
yeah.
always look like they're smiling anyways.
That's
And
why.
Then they're so chatty.
We didn't know that they were totally doped. Yeah. Dude, they were totally doped out the entire time.
The whole time, yeah. We figured out dolphins.
Oh, my God.
Orcas, that's why they're like too solemn.
Yeah.
They need to like hook up with the
They need a bigger pufferfish.
Have you seen the dolphins where they surf with the surfers?
No.
That's really cool too. It's on YouTube. Like they watch the surfer like cut the waves or whatever, so they'll go and start doing that.
Oh, I love
and then
that.
Jump up over.
I'd swam with dolphins. They're incredible creatures.
They're I think orcas and dolphins are one of the smartest, and they have. I know orcas have parts of their brain that's more highly developed than us, like the way they communicate.
Dude, their brain must be huge.
Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. Second side note, but this is gonna correlate.
Oh my God,
to
this
what
is like
you
an
were saying.
inception of storylines right now. Hold on,
Yeah,
we're at the
hold on,
orcas, and then we'll go back to the dolphins.
Side.
Yeah. All right, so go ahead.
As the walls are moving.
Yeah, tell me about the orca.
We talked about something the other day, and we were talking about this, whether you believe in aliens or not. We were talking about telepathy.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And this is going to correlate, and I want you to talk about this with dreaming. What we have been hearing through, whether you believe in channeling or not, or any of that's up to you to decide. But at the end of the day, like, of a higher species would have telepathy, and then how did you say they would communicate? Through pictures?
Yeah, so the words are no longer necessary, right? Because telepathy
language would not be necessary. Yeah.
Telepathy is an instantaneous communication.
Right.
Form of communication. You ever been in a room with a friend, and I don't want one person to tell me this never happened to them because I won't believe them.
Right.
They've been in there and be like, oh my God, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
It's a shared thought, right? That's
Right.
our collective consciousness. That's our all is one, encompassing all of us, understanding that we are connected, right? Point is,
and scientists have said we only use about 10% of our brain.
10% of our brain.
So if that other 90% was unlocked.
So each time I use 10% of my brain,
Right.
okay, and 45% of my life I'm asleep. 10% times 40%. So if really 4.5% of my brain is the only thing that's like not getting really used properly, or not just the only thing I'm using properly.
So how do you? Because I want to get back to, because with the telepathy thing with
we'll go into that.
with
So
pictures,
language.
because and not using language, because I feel like there's a connection with dreaming when we
Big
write
time.
down our pictures.
No, that's a
emotion.
really nice bridge.
Yeah.
That's a,
Thank you, Alex.
we're going to talk about bridges this episode, okay?
Well, that's part of Inception.
We're engineering
There's bridges.
Yeah,
You fall into
consciousness
water
bridges. That's
yeah.
right. So when we're talking about telepathy here, we're talking about images and emotion, right?
Right.
So I explained the example to you the other day. If we're looking at the sun, okay,
And we're smelling hot tar.
and we're smelling hot tar, and I got a puffer fish in one hand.
No, seriously, the roof next to the studio
They're
putting like slapping hot tar on there. Or
Oh
something.
yeah, thank
And
you.
It's literally
Yeah.
like petroleum fumes.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I don't know if does it make you high?
I may get more high. What I may think I'm continuing a normal pace of speech, but guys, if it starts to drop off or I'm slurring,
Alex is young. He's not having a stroke.
Yeah, I'm not having a stroke. So
It's just the fumes from because it is strong. You started talking, and then I got like this huge wave.
Yeah, it's wafting towards us.
Be serious. Here we go.
Yeah.
On the aspect of emotion, pictures, dreaming.
Yeah, so let's talk about it.
Telepathy.
So we'll talk about language,
Mhm.
okay? Language is no longer necessary if you start talking about telepathy, right? So if we're both looking at the same sun, all right?
Right.
And it may be the best sunset we've ever seen. But if we go and try to describe that to somebody else, you and I are going to have two different ways of describing that, right? Because what you saw and I saw are two totally different emotions that we internalize, right? What our brain actually picked up on in our perspective. So when you're talking about telepathy gives you the chance to actually share that exact moment and that exact emotion, rather than using language which confines things to a box, right? There's a limitation of
Right.
description. So when we're talking about the telepathy, that's that advanced step with using these images, this artwork, this color, these emotions, these sound, to culminate together so someone can actually understand that moment.
And whether you believe in higher beings or aliens or whatever, that is the way they communicate.
Right. There's no reason to talk, right?
Right.
So if you become so evolved, if you just look at it from a logical standpoint right now, words are limiting for us,
Right.
right?
I mean, look how long it takes to write out something.
Oh my God, what a pain.
Or
right?
to read.
Or even to read. So imagine if someone just shoved a book in your head,
Right.
right? If you could energetically understand the context of the book. Don't look at the book as in, okay, I need to look at the quantitative text format of the book. No. Books are ideas extrapolated over a series of pages and pictures and structures to try and get you to understand a concept.
Right.
What if you can instantaneously receive the concept?
With the pictures and the emotion from the author.
Absolutely. Now you got the telepathic book, right?
So I feel like that level of consciousness could be in our dreams.
Sure.
Because when I don't remember like what I said as much.
No.
I don't remember the language part. Here's the bridge.
Do you remember what you felt?
Yes.
Do you remember what you saw?
Emotions are really strong, and it can be like me, in a spacecraft underneath the water.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
And if you're really keen in your dreaming, you'll begin to smell. You'll also begin to recognize certain sounds, right?
Because you're telling your brain over time with repetition to pay attention.
To pay attention to these things, right?
And then you're writing them down in the morning.
Paying attention is key. So I write my dreams down in the morning. This is a practice that I do.
Right.
And I encourage all of our listeners out here to follow through on that practice, right? And I'm going to tell you why. So if we're making that bridge between our conscious world, right, our waking state and our own waking state, there's a bridge that's put there.
Right.
We start to pay attention to how our subconscious and, ethereal, non-physical area, how we connect to it and what our body's telling us in this other state so that we can begin to learn from these lessons. So in my day when I thought I'm walking around and I'm not sleeping, so I'm not really connected to my dream state, throughout my day I'm constantly connected to my dream state because I can go back and reflect and focus on those things that happened when I was sleeping. So now I can learn twice the amount of lessons in the same amount of time.
That makes sense.
Kind of nice, right? It's a 2-for-1 shot, 2 birds, 1 stone. I don't want to kill any birds, but you know what I mean, right?
Right.
So if we're talking about...
It's a metaphor.
Yeah, it's a metaphor, right? It's a metaphor. So recording that dream, I found over time that the quality of my dreams, right, the depth and what I could record, what I remembered, began to increase, right? My level of empathy and emotional understanding began to increase. And then I realized that some of the themes that were happening in my dreams are themes that also play out in my daily life. And I found that I could forgive them in my dreams, right? Whatever these themes or whatever might be happening, maybe if I had some anger or repressed emotion, I don't care what it might be, I can fix that in the dream, and that will also fix it in the waking state because now I've remembered it and I can focus on it. So instead of me having to go experience, say, some sort of confrontational moment I might have with someone, Jason, if I'm going to get mad at you, let me experience it in the dream and forgive you for it ahead of time so that before I even get to coming to that point with you, I've already cleared that up. That energy's, behind me. I've overcome it with a higher energy, right? And now I began to think, I'm like, okay, I'm recording my dreams. The depth of them are increasing, and then I realized that there's connections between all of them and that I'm in layers of dreams. How is it that I can start to control what I'm dreaming, right? And this is what many psychologists would note as lucid dreaming, right? This is not like something I'm making up here. I mean, people have lucid dreams. It's that clarity, that depth of dream, that ability to control where you're going in that realm.
Right.
So if I'm thinking right now about walking out of the studio, in my mind I've walked out of the studio. Why couldn't I do that same sort of thought when I'm in a dream?
Yeah, and I think, and I think also when you look at dreaming, you're repeating steps. I mean, I have dreamed that I've been at work.
Sure.
And I just have a whole work day, Which, at the end you may think, oh, that kind of sucks. But
no.
But I'm not, because there's interactions that I probably should have paid attention to with people that I probably should have paid attention to. Because, and I want us to get into this, if you don't mind. I still want to go on your journey of this process. But I do want us to get into the significance of dreaming compared to real life. And that they're both one.
Super cool. And so we can talk about this on my journey, right? So before I got into the lucid dreaming part, I realized something through the connection of the dream because I've recorded it.
Right.
Okay. I can start to see similarities and cross connections and things like that. And what I noticed is that the most emotionally charged dreams that I had,
right,
the most prominent ones, happened in some of the safest places of my life, the places I'm most comfortable at. So my childhood home is a place that my dream will put myself in. I will move myself to that state, that area, right? This physical construction of my home, and I will learn some very hard lessons inside that home because it's a comfortable, safe place that I understand.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
It's not like I'm going to get dragged to somewhere else to learn a hard lesson. So it's not like put me in a hard environment, right? So I got to deal with the environment and then deal with the lesson. No, I'm going to put you in a place where you feel safe, where my emotional charge, I'm not in war, I don't have the PTSD,
Right.
I'm somewhere I'm very comfortable, and now I can start to learn those harder lessons because I'm not focusing on the environment around me. And
So putting yourself in that dream state in a safe environment, and then allowing yourself to be able to allow the dream, which is your higher conscious,
yeah, which is you speaking to yourself.
which is you speaking to yourself, teach and learn.
Right. And I thought it was really, frankly, fantastic that my consciousness was putting in me in a place that I knew was safe, that I was comfortable with, that I truly knew so well that I could see the differences in that area. I could recognize something that was either real or at a place, or there was a slight change, or if there was some sort of drama that needed to be played out in my mind, it could happen there, and I was comfortable with
like a safe place for me would be my work.
Would be your work.
Because I feel like I have a lot of control there.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm responsible with that control as a leader.
Yeah.
But that's a really safe place for me, where maybe my childhood
may not be so safe.
Not so safe. I just want to make that correlation with people,
No, and that's good, and this is what I'm talking about. You will put yourself in the place you need to be, which is the best learning ground for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So if we're here to learn and teach and learn, that's what we're trying to do. So I realized that throughout the theme of all these dreams, I'm put in very specific, comfortable places where I can begin to expand upon it. And so now that I've realized I'm in these comfortable spots, how do I know if I'm dreaming or not? Right? Is because now I've realized, okay, when I go to bed,
right,
I know for a fact, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be dreaming. And then in the dream, I can be aware of myself in the environment that I'm in, if it's a place that I'm in before, to see if something is different. Maybe there's a drawing on a wall, or there's a mirror, or there are, I don't know, certain nuances with changes in where the furniture might be laid out in the house, okay? Then at that very moment, you get this recognition, like, wait a minute, I'm dreaming. And this is a feeling you're going to have, and this comes with practice, right?
Right.
And then you start to move into the lucid state, where it's like, okay, I can control what's happening here, and I can see all the actions I have and how they're going to play out, and I can determine how I want to test it. So
and the lucid state you can be half conscious too.
You can be half conscious, right?
I've had that where I've been like kind of awake, kind of not.
Right.
Sitting on the couch, and then I have like a dream,
No, and it's an easy place to be, right? And let me tell you why, because you're awake, but you also know you're sleeping.
Right.
So then if you can make that gap, right, that conscious gap to be like, okay, I can start to control this, you can do a lot of good with it, right? Imagine going to an area where you can test all these different possibilities, what the outcomes would be like, how it's going to happen, and then be like, oh, now I know what I want to do in my waking life. This may be the best option for how this suits me emotionally, physically, psychologically. This is an action that I want to take.
And this 45% of your life that you haven't took control of, you're now, I hate to use the word taking control, but you're now being proactive enough to where you're recognizing the places, the things, the smells,
right,
the emotions, the pictures, the
yes,
scenery, and then you go into this point of recording these in the morning. Like, I think it would be for me, instead of typing them out,
writing.
Maybe a voice recorder.
Oh, voice recorders are great.
And then, like on my iPhone, I have that voice recorder, and I use those a lot when I want to like say something to somebody for work or whatever. I found that works better for me to communicate than sit there and type out an email that takes forever.
We'll talk it out.
So I wonder if and then save those.
Sure.
Would that be an easier way to do it?
Listen, whatever is best for you to record it.
Right.
The most important thing is that you're recording it.
And you're telling your mind that it's important for you to remember the dream.
Yeah. And let's talk about something here about the human physiological system. Your body is not a system designed to waste things.
Right.
Not one part of your entire body wants to waste any point of energy. It wants to use everything to the highest efficiency and always keep you in equilibrium. So why would your body or your conscious sleeping state, right, your consciousness, be giving you something that you don't need?
Yeah, well, everybody always says, what's the reason for sleep anyways? But if you understand it as being that 45% of your life, that's extremely important.
Yeah.
That you're actually tapping into your higher conscious, because we have so many, I want to use distortions during the day.
Sure. Can you tell me what a distortion is?
Yeah, you're going to give me your definition?
Yeah, tell me what your understanding of what a distortion is.
And then you can give me yours, because you'll do, I think, a lot better job on it than me. Distortion for me is anything that I know that takes me away from my ability to love.
Right.
my ability to display, learn, teach a higher
Correct.
conscious. So anything that I get, like for me, let's say I get angry at somebody, that's a distortion that's happening. And that is causing me not to be at the vibration that I need to be at.
Right.
Which ultimately is loving all things, and all things are one.
Right, and understanding that unity between it.
So anytime I get into time,
right,
or I get into negative emotion,
sure,
or maybe even sometimes positive emotion, because it's all the same.
Right.
Then I'm allowing myself to, could you use it? Be distorted?
To be distorted, right?
Yeah.
You're the people like this one because people love computers. The programming that you naturally have throughout your day, right? These patterns that create this programming causes you to be distorted. So you have a distorted programming.
Right.
But if you start from a base sort of code that there is unity between all things,
right,
anything away from that one single truth leads you to a distortion, right? Which means your perspective is saying that this is how the world and the universe is, when truly it isn't. That would be a distortion, right? Which would cause you not to love properly, not to understand, not to forgive properly. Like they would have those distortions. So you would want to do the things that drive it back to that thought of, okay, this is the unified, all is one. We all come from the same sort of place. This is the higher truth. That is the most undistorted view you could have.
Yeah, because in that undistortion would be you would love your dog as much as you would love your girlfriend. You
Correct.
would love you just as much as you love that mountain that you look at in the morning.
Correct.
Because all things are one.
All things are one.
So if you could be at that level where you, we have so many distortions in our life, but if you could be at that level where you love things 110% equally, or 100%, let's say, equally, and then you would have no fear, anger, jealousy, worry, stress.
No, because in the total retrospective look, you understand that the only thing that caused that was yourself.
And that's eighth dimension.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into that.
We'll get into dimensions in a later episode. But, so if you're talking about the body not wasting anything, this is a point where your consciousness come in and it can begin to teach the self, right?
Right.
It's self-teaching self. So imagine if your higher form knew so much better, but you're trying to learn these rules and these regulations on how you should do things here on this physical world. Well, then you got to start listening to it. So that 45% of my life has now become just another avenue, a new book about me that I begin to read and I can learn these lessons from, and I become a better person.
And it's so funny because we always want to take all these supplements and we always want to do these things, and now they have this ability where we can go to the rainforest and we can take ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca,
and we can have
do a
these,
trip, yeah.
We can have these UZs, which I think is important, these plant medicines, and, get to a level. But in reality, we're experiencing that every night.
Every single night.
Every night you're going to a place.
I'm acid tripping literally every night.
Yes, we all are.
No, we all are. And the thing is do you want to pay attention to that acid trip?
Right.
But people think I can only invoke something like this if I'm taking some dimethyltryptamine, some DMT,
Yeah, we have this whole idea in Western medicine. We have to inject, take a pill, do something to invoke something.
But again, if we go back into the unification idea, that idea that all is one, well, you already have everything you need to get to that state. It's just how do you, instead of harshly driving yourself to some very elevated level using a plant substance, why don't you slowly bring yourself up to that platform, right, where you can lucid dream, be in that DMT sort of state all the time, right? And that's the difference. So what I found is that recording my dreams has taught me a lot about myself and themes I need to do, or even, precognitively things I should be doing, right, or things that are going to happen. Maybe I see them ahead of time. Right? And so people might be wondering, well, how do you make the bridge between, if everything is one, well, how do you prove that if you're in the dream state? Well, do you ever recognize faces in a dream? Do you ever put people in the dream? Mm-hmm. And their energy matches exactly how they are in real life, right? How they look, the way they walk, the way they talk and act, it's all the same in the dream. But they're not actually there, are they?
No.
No, but their energetic self is. So
are they actually here in what we think is real life?
Right. So and that makes me wonder, right? So if we in a dream state all have the ability to put people in places inside this world, right? One that we can actively create, what people would call the imagination, but what I would call reality. Wouldn't you say that is the real truth? That's the energy of the person. That's the energetic imprint that they have left that you're connecting with.
Yes.
Exactly. It's that what you thought was somebody else in the dream is really everything happening in your own consciousness. So you have to be connected to that energy of that person somehow.
Because we can perceive people. You can perceive somebody totally different than I perceive them.
Absolutely.
But what is truth in that?
We're both perceiving them, right?
Right.
That would be the truth, right? And we're both perceiving them in our minds. So whether or not I'm sleeping or awake, it shows that there's a unification between both of us.
Right. Because, whether you're a Gestapo agent and you're viewing Hitler as being the greatest leader of all times, and you're all in and thinking he's amazing, and then we're looking at him and
like this guy's
a dictator, ruthless, but at the end of the day,
a lot of choice words.
But at the end of the day, both are right.
They're both exactly right.
People,
and it's a tough pill. That talking about taking pills, that's a tough pill to swallow.
That's
it's to understand that there's a time and a perspective for everyone to learn, right?
Right.
And depending on how they view that distortion of perspective, they may think that is the truth. But what you really have to see is that we're all connected with that energy somehow. We all made choices throughout our lives to drive Hitler to get to a point to come into power. It's not like the guy just showed up and was in power. No, there was a bunch of people, groups of people making choices to support an individual, right? So there's a conscious thought, there's a collective idea or identity that puts that person where they need to be. Whether or not they're good or bad, that's not the idea at the time. There was a large group that thought that was good. So again, it's a matter of perspective, but either way, there is no good or bad, right? Because if you're talking about a total collectiveness, there's a balance between things, and that's what we're looking for.
That balance.
That balance. And in my dream state, I look for that balance.
Like the yin and the yang are...
That's exactly right. Where things are no longer... You're not worried about the black or the white. You're worried about the gray, which is the balance in between both. And that's what we want to be. We want to be +1, -1 at the same time. Like a Duracell battery.
I think we can see patterns of that throughout the universe.
Oh, everything. No, literally everything.
When it's most balanced.
Quasars, pulsars, the universe itself, how much material mass it has in it.
Right.
From the physical to the non-physical vacuum, the quantum realms. Everything balances itself out in equilibrium.
Our bodies, with our pH levels. And
what's it want to do? It wants to be in balance, right? What happens when I get heartburn? Wow, I had way too much acid rather than alkaline. I'm not in balance.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Everything is to be in balance. And anything that is not in balance is a distortion.
It's a distortion. It's dizzy. When you look at the world, your squares become like weird amoeba-looking shapes, right?
Right.
Things become distorted.
And that's why, I don't want to get into this, but if you're dreaming, like that's something I've noticed in my dreams, I'm very, usually there's lots of stuff going on. It's very busy. It's not relaxing. There's a lot of fear.
Sure.
I would say that's probably the theme of all my dreams. It's probably fear, because I don't care if you're in a battlefield or you're, I'm even sometimes a cop and I'm chasing a serial killer.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it always comes down to, I don't care who you are or how badass you are, you're going to be fearful when you're put into situations where those levels are high.
Do you want to know why? Because it's you knowing yourself. It knows exactly where to put you in the highest form of learning.
Yeah, because I'm always chasing a bad guy.
You're teaching and learning and teaching yourself at the same time. It's an incredible state, right?
Right.
It's that 45% of our life that is truly one of the best educational resources we can have. And it's listening to yourself, right?
Right.
And so what I found is that I begin to expand as a person. It takes those easy steps. So your fear that you constantly find, you continue to have it because you haven't taken the time to focus on it. You haven't recorded it.
Right.
You haven't begun to question why you have those emotions, right? So rather than question it, they keep coming back up to you because they're trying to teach you. They're trying to tell you something, but you haven't done anything with it.
But that's all of life. If you don't start becoming self-aware to the point to where you can set yourself out and say, that's a distortion.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is how I need to be. And then, like for me, logically, getting rid of because I'm extremely emotional. So taking the time to say, okay, that was really stupid, Jason. Here is that emotion that you experienced.
Yeah.
Here's how it should have gone, and then replay that in my head. I'm learning teaching. At
the same time.
Right.
And
yes.
There's not some teacher in the room.
Mm-mm.
It's you and yourself.
Because you have everything inside of you
that you need.
And I think that's our whole philosophy of the podcast, is that one, all is one, but two, you have everything inside of you to be the best, if you want to say version, or to be the true authentic you.
Be the most authentic, unified version of you that you are. Be your own highest truth.
Right.
Right? And it's funny, I do have everything inside me. I have all the people I've ever needed to meet, faces I saw, are all in my dreams. Everything I need to teach me what I need that needs to be taught or learned is all right there for me.
So without getting into detail, because we don't have to be personal, Alex, but what patterns, when you started recording these, what patterns did you start seeing?
So some of my most interesting patterns were specific individuals within my family. Only specific ones. It's not the entire family,
right?
But very specific ones. And then I realized that specific individuals of the family showed up in specific environmental themes. So if I'm, say, in an ocean in one area, I may have 3 individuals of the family that are always associated with the ocean. And then on the other side, if I'm in my house, I may have 5 or 6 that are always associated with whatever the lesson is to be learned in the house, right? And so that I found that these themes, now I'm riding on 2 different lines. There's 2 different lessons to be learned here.
The ocean is a different lesson than the house.
Right, and each individual has their own energy.
Right.
So I need to learn from that individual's energy within that environment. Right. And I have 3 different variables I'm dealing with. Wait a minute, there's quite a lot to be learned here in a very recurring dream. You're like,
so the ocean, we'll use that.
Yeah, we just use ocean, yeah.
With those family members, not only are you learning from it, but if you allow it, that water,
yes,
that mass of water, that energy from that, and those people that are there, whether there's 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, they're going to teach you something if you listen.
If you're listening and pay attention. And at first, it'll, like I said, it's difficult to start recording the dreams. Find a way that works best for you and just try it. I'm asking you for 1 month, record these dreams. And then you realize that the bridge between that sleeping world and your waking world becomes one.
I think setting a reminder on my phone, because I get up pretty much consistently the same time every day.
Right.
So if I had it set at that time, because I grab my phone, we all do.
It's the first thing people do is grab their phone.
Yeah,
almost everybody.
If I grab my phone and right there is that reminder,
boom,
record your dreams, then maybe it'll click on my head instead of trying to think later to do it.
Yeah, no.
Just to get in a habit.
No, and it's really cool. And then I found myself throughout the day, I'm just like, I'm really thinking about the dreams that I've had. And there was a lot to learn from them, right?
But as you're thinking of it throughout the day, you're learning more about it?
Big time. It's almost like rereading a book over and over and over so that you get every last detail out of it.
So when you're seeing the ocean...
Yeah.
That resonated with me for some reason. But
you're
seeing the ocean, you're seeing these family members, and that is a repetitive...
It's a repetitive thing, right?
It's happening
because
that
maybe
you're finding.
I had the dream last week, right? But this week, I have the same dream again, but now I've picked up on a new detail on it. Oh, wow, it's the same scenario.
Right.
But there's a new detail that I missed from last week.
Because I think a lot of people have recurring dreams over and over again.
Absolutely. And why do you get in the recurring dream? Why do you get the same fears?
Because it's something that I need to learn.
Pay attention to and learn from.
Right.
Right. And how are you going to start doing that? Let's do a very easy method, right?
Right.
Let's start recording them.
Right. No, I think that's extremely wise. I'm going to put that on my phone and...
Yeah.
I think we all are going to have a 30-day challenge.
Let's do a 30-day challenge.
Everybody.
I'd love to hear any of the people that may send us messages, direct messages. I'd love to know if someone has come up with a recurring theme.
Right.
Or they have begun to focus on some sort of energy that is happening within this dream that they've either overcome or put in some sort of higher form with. I think that would be a really cool thing to see that people are actually doing that.
Yeah, and I think that would probably be ultimately the most important, is to get it on paper so that you're starting to bridge.
Yeah.
I hate to use that word again, but you're starting
bridges are good.
Because it's Inception theme today. You're starting to bridge that gap between you being conscious and unconscious.
Right.
That's physically, your body is unconscious, right?
Yeah, you bet it is. You just walk. Well, first of all, you just walk, right?
Right.
You're not thinking about, like, how do I got to lift this leg up, use these muscles. You just do it.
But so on a science thing, because I was reading, they just found this area in your brain, because they thought to dream you had to be in REM.
No.
But they said, they just came out with studies, Scientific American, there's an article online you guys can read, that talked about you don't have to. And then they found a spot in your brain called the hot spot.
Ooh,
That's what they're calling it.
That's cool.
They're calling it the hot spot, where they're noticing that is like lighting up like a Christmas tree when we're dreaming.
Okay.
So, and it can be in different, it can be in light sleep, it can be in REM, it can be in, heavy sleep. When that's lighting up,
something's induced, right? Some sort of, when it's lit up, that means there's an energy going through it.
Right.
Some electrochemical energy. And when you have electrochemical energy, that means there's a field. There has to be. It's physics, right? So if we're looking at that and we're saying, okay, if this is lit up, some sort of connection or bridge is actually happening. And if it's happening from the mind to connect to our consciousness, to pull in those dreams and that awareness,
then
and that's what it is.
Yeah, we know something's going on.
Yeah. And we got to do something with it. So it's just, again, it was my contention from the beginning that if I really want to learn about myself and understand what's going on, this is that whole other chunk of my life that I wasn't paying attention to.
No, I think that
You know?
I think that is hugely important.
Imagine it's like being asleep for 20 years and
Right.
well, what happened? Did you at least dream? You know what I mean? It's like when people come out of a coma, what were you dreaming about? Well, I don't know. You know what I mean?
But people dream in a coma.
But they dream in a coma.
Yeah, they
right?
right.
And then, you know, if we're going to go talk about, well, okay, well, how is well, you said in an earlier episode that time's not real, right?
Right.
It's a distortion of our perspective for what really is, right? Well, when you go to bed and you wake up, you're like, man, that was a quick night's sleep. Well, that's because your consciousness it's not bound by time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you're dreaming, the timeline is either highly accelerated or decelerated. You can choose how long you want to be in that dream state. You know?
But I think whenever we're looking at dreaming, I want people to understand that there's not a separation, because this whole idea of this throws us on this whole, you know, like entrepreneurship and
Okay.
you can only sleep 4 hours a night or whatever. You know, you actually need that amount of sleep, and it's important because there's just as much as in so-called the real world
Yeah.
that you want to learn. You have 45%, and I love that. You have 45% of your life that you want to only sleep 2, 3, 4 hours a night and brag about that.
Yeah.
Well, now you've done all kinds of crazy stuff physically to your body that's harming, but at the same time, you've just deprived yourself of a huge part
Big time.
of learning
Right.
and being
Almost-
able to allow those dreams to teach you.
Yeah. 50 to 60% of that 45%. I know the math is insane, but that's what happens when you sleep those 2 to 3 hours. And you think, oh my God, look how much I'm learning. Well, are you really learning?
Right.
You know? To me, it sounds like you're missing out on a whole hell of a bunch that really is you.
Yeah, especially if you're eating bad foods and cognitively you're not there.
And if you're
in
an
the task and
entrepreneur,
you're not present.
you're trying to be on top of your game. You're trying to be the best absolute person, right? And you're trying to sell products or services that are supposed to help us evolve, bring us forward in society. Well, how are you supposed to sell me a product or service if you really don't know about yourself?
Yes, exactly.
Why would I buy something from someone who truly doesn't even understand who they are?
Yes, and I have found that, especially in sales, the more that I love sales just for the simple fact because it really reveals a person.
Big time.
Like, I mean,
Big time.
people don't get that connection, and I don't want to break off into that. But at the end of the day, if you're being genuine and honest,
Yeah.
and you're being genuine and honest with the person that you're making a transaction with, then that's going to resonate a lot more than the guy that's just coming in there that has his presentation. It's all about his company. It's all about his money that he's going to earn off of you signing this contract.
Yeah.
So where it's a whole different vibration that comes into that. But I've had dreams where I've dreamed about things. And this is what I want to ask you about, you know, tying this all in. I've had dreams where I've seen something, let's say a presentation that I had to give to a client.
Okay.
And I've seen that in my dream.
Nice. Ahead of
Before
time.
it's even happened.
So, yeah, I'm so glad you brought
There's
that
words
up.
like deja vu and stuff like that they use.
Yeah, deja vu, where you're precognitively seeing what's going to happen. You have a premonition, right?
And you remember that in your head.
You remember it in your head. Now, when people, it's like, oh my God, I've seen this before, people are like, sure, shut up. Shut up. You haven't seen this before. And it's like, hey, buddy, you want to know something? I wrote this down 12 hours ago. I did see this before.
Right,
you know what I mean? And no one can take that away from you. And then you start to trust yourself in what you see. Because there have been many a times, okay, I've gone through and I've had a dream, and these events have happened, and I've written them down, and that same exact thing has happened. And no one can deny the fact that I wrote that down and logged it ahead of time than what actually occurred in the daily waking life.
Yeah, because you have it written down.
Right. And at first, it began to shock me, and I was getting I'm a little jazzed. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right,
ooh,
right.
I'm psychic, right? and then I started looking at it. I was like, wait a minute, this is just a natural thing that we do.
Yeah, everyone has that.
But I've been but now I'm paying attention to it.
Right.
So imagine if we were all doing that, and then like, shit, I wouldn't be making half the choices I should be making because I've seen what happens ahead of time. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Oh my God, could you imagine how much we'd learn if we were all started recording our dreams? There's archetypes to it, right? There are these general themes, and then you start looking ahead and you're like, wow, I'm seeing a little bit further ahead what the probabilities are, maybe
Imagine
we
if
should do that.
everybody would record their dreams, then all that data would be matched up.
Oh my God, it'd be
Could
amazing.
you imagine what?
It would be amazing.
It would blow everybody's...
And I would contend,
Right.
I would contend that there's some sort of silver thread that connects us all. That we're all sharing some sort of general theme throughout all of this.
You'd have to guarantee that there are people out there in the world. I don't know how many, 8 billion of us or whatever.
Yeah, 7.5 or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. So there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people that people are dreaming the same exact dreams.
I bet you there would be.
That would be wild.
No, it'd be wild.
That would be a written demonstration
Of collective consciousness.
of collective consciousness. Yes.
Yeah, it'd be a written demonstration of unity. It'd be nuts.
Oh, that's awesome.
It'd be a wild experiment.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So I guess we'll start here with higher density living, and then we'll just bifurcate. We'll branch out 2 people
Everybody
for
would have to be ultimately honest and put their dreams out.
Yeah. Or even if they begin to lie, it's not like everyone's going to lie.
Well, when it's like, well, last night was an amazing dream. I slept with Bill's wife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't realize how
Some
hot
guy
she
over in
was.
India is like, man, I was sleeping with Bill's wife, or I am Bill's wife. Oh my God, what happened?
Yeah, in that dream, I was Bill's wife.
It's nuts. It's totally nuts.
And really, you were having sex with a guy from India.
No, I know exactly. Whoa, that was way better than I thought it would
I can't handle this higher
Yeah,
conscious.
yeah. I got to back out of this for a bit. I got to take a break.
Could you? Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, then at that point, you start to realize the energy of the female, right? Oh shit.
Oh, now
Then you
we're
really
getting
got a
something.
perspective. You say walk in her shoes. Damn, you're really walking in her
Yes,
shoes now.
yes, exactly.
You know.
We have to get into that. I think on another podcast where we talk about the different energies, male. And
Oh,
female.
we have to. Yeah, most definitely. Because that plays out a lot to how we design things, how the world is kind of set up, how we continue with that perspective.
But when I've noticed with dreams, the 2 main themes I've really noticed is art and creativity.
For yourself.
Yeah, but it's that's what like in my dreams. I can really pay attention. Things are more vivid.
Right.
The world looks more colorful. There's there's a lot of limits that by like natural law limits, like gravity. Next thing you know, you're jumping onto another building.
Yeah, I'm jumping around, floating, and just
Yeah.
like I feel free.
But I think in a lot of our dreams, and those are 2 things that we love. Like as a human species, we love creativity.
Yeah.
And we love this ability to be able to, but are we creating in those dreams? Are we creating this creative world?
Every time. So it doesn't. When we do a painting, paintings take a while, right?
Right.
Skyscraper. Do you just picture one in your head?
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take you to paint that in your head?
2 seconds. Yeah.
That's my point.
Not even that.
This is my point. So when you're asking me to create a dream world, right? In my consciousness is creating this thing when I sleep. It can do extremely detailed things very quickly.
I could do a painting and I could watch myself paint something.
Yeah.
In probably 30 seconds.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Time's not an issue, right? Those are your thought forms, right?
Right.
And those thought forms are energetically charged. They have an effect on you.
Right.
If I create a beautiful painting in my head, I see it, I'm pretty happy about it right now. I just took something from my imaginary dream state, and now I'm physically affected by it. I feel pretty good. That's amazing, right? That bridge that we're doing, even if I'm painting a bridge.
So whenever you say I'm not a painter, that's a bad sentence to say.
Of course it is. Everybody's a painter.
Everybody's a painter.
Everyone's a painter.
Or
right?
I'm bad at math.
Right.
I say that a lot. I'm bad at math. But that's not a good statement to say.
Because frankly, it's a terrible statement.
Right.
Everybody has the ability to be good at math. They are good at math. It's a choice of whether or not you want to pay attention to be good at math.
Right.
Right? Jim, here, I'll give some pertinent examples. In my dreams, right? So, I've had dreams where I'm playing piano like Mozart. Like, phenomenally. Right? I can't read music for shit. Right? I played instruments, but I can't read music. I have the ability, this muscle memory in my body to play beautiful music. I can play some, like, fantastic.
And you can watch your fingers on
Yes.
the keyboard, and that's probably, if that could be recorded, I guarantee you it's accurate.
Oh, absolutely, right?
Right.
And I've played beautiful classical piano music, and my hands move like I've been playing piano for 35, 40 years, but I haven't. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've recorded it as proof for myself that I can do these things even though I can't read music. Or
But in your dream, you're reading music.
But in my dream, I'm doing it, and it's so fluid, and it feels so natural, and it feels so good and liberating, right?
So in that world, which is just as much as a reality as this world,
I've carried the energy of that world, and I'm actually playing the piano.
You play the piano.
Yeah. And I love playing the piano, and my hands play it extremely well. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like, what the hell? No one's professionally trained me to do it, but boy, can I really do this well.
Right.
You know, if I could read music, that would blow my mind.
But I think at the end of the day, that's the same as your dream state is the same reality that is in real life.
It's a shared reality.
Right.
Right? And then here's another example, right? And I can share this with everyone. I was sleeping one night. I have no specific faith. I was brought up Catholic, but I don't abide by it. I don't go to church, none of that. I can appreciate a good-looking stone church, though, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of community coming together. I think that's cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're all focusing on one goal, dogma aside. But I'm sleeping, and in my dream, I am reading and speaking Hebrew fluently. Never in my life have I even thought about Hebrew. I didn't even know what it looked like.
Were you talking to people?
I was talking to people. I was reading books. So
how does that even happen?
I don't even know how
because that's in your brain.
No, it's not
your brain.
You think it's the brain.
But that's what I'm saying. What a person would do.
Yeah.
Because they're thinking right now, like that. Yeah, that is true. I've had things where I've done them, and I'm like, how can I do that?
How can I do it?
I've had dreams where I'm flying helicopters and flying planes. I mean, you're a pilot, right?
Yeah, I love flying.
But at the end of the day, I try to put me in one right now. In this world, I guess you would say.
Yeah, it's a tough gig, right?
Right.
But you're so fluent and natural in it in the dream state. And because I've been recording my dreams and a series of things happen, I rolled over in the morning, the sun's beaming through the windows, right? This is when I'm back in Massachusetts. And I'm looking at the girlfriend, I was like, Amanda, and she's like, what? I'm like, I was just reading and speaking Hebrew in my dream. I'm like, maybe I should learn this. So I downloaded I don't know what the apps is called, like Drops or something like that, and I'm on it, and I took to Hebrew like a fish to water. The alphabet, everything about it was so comfortable with me. It was like when I sat down at the piano again after the dream.
Right.
And then I realized these are energies I need to follow. Regardless of the religion that comes with it, nothing. It's like I'm just interested in the language itself because something about that resonates with me. It resonated with me in a dream state, and then it brought that feeling, that free-spirited, like liberating feeling to my physical world. I need to follow through with that
because it's teaching you something, right?
Big time.
And then now it's time for you to learn.
And now what does this also do? This opened me up to a whole new culture of people I've never experienced.
Right.
The Jewish culture is a very tight-knit culture. They're, when you're in and you're talking with everybody, man, they have their thumb and pulse on literally everything, and they're very welcoming. And when I have something to share, a bridge, okay, because we like bridges in this episode, that common bond to bring myself across to them is like something fantastic. So as what originally perceived me as an outsider to their very close-knit community or group, I'm now a part of, And that gave me a whole new experience. I get new friends, new people, I get to go new places. I get to learn about this world more than I would in the first place. Why? Because I had a damn dream about it, and I wrote it down and figured maybe this is something I should pursue.
Especially if you're having this repetitive dream over and over again.
Absolutely.
Then it's like you have to pursue that.
I got to pursue it. And guess what? I haven't had a dream since about it. But I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Right.
I'm following my gut on this, and it's saying, you know what? You're doing the right thing. And it feels good. Every time I learn more and I study more about it, it feels like that's the natural path I should be taking.
Right. You're allowing what we use a word called intuition. But
yeah. I'm allowing my intuition. I just let it guide me. And that connection, that bridge between your sleep state and your waking state now becomes whole. It becomes fully built. And that intuition that happens in your dreams, you carry it into the physical realm. You start taking avenues that you otherwise wouldn't have taken in the first place. But it was the most natural thing for you to learn and do, right?
Right.
And now I'm doing it. So what I would ask is that if you're a listener, right, or even you, Jason, you start recording these dreams as a practice.
Right.
Right? And this is just a whole nother avenue for you to develop who you are as a person, become an even greater person, to understand that unity between all of us, right?
Yeah, and I think as I record them, and we will talk about this more, we'll do another episode on it, but I think as we look at that, we're going to all see patterns, like
Big
you
time.
said, and that may bring us into a different level. Because I have so many people that will talk to me, and they're like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do in my life. Or, I'm not really sure what my passion is, And then we go online and we take all these tests, and we do all these, I'm a INTFJ or whatever,
Yeah.
ENFP.
I'm an EFTJ,
Yeah.
extroverted thinking, whatever.
Right. And so we do all these external things when actually that answer
It's right inside of you.
inside of us, and that 45% of our life, those moments right there could be that time that shares that passion
To find that passion.
of where you need to go.
I found my passion in the dark.
Right.
Interesting place to be to find it. I wasn't outside. I wasn't in some sort of social group. I found my passions literally in the dark. And I've become comfortable there. Right? And I like that world. I don't go to sleep thinking about, waking up and having to do my day. I go to sleep and I am excited to wake up and learn from that dream I just had. And that becomes a place where I can play.
Right.
It's that sort of the innocence, the childlike innocence of being in the dream is something truly incredible, right? And bringing that back does not make me immature. It brings back a sense of spirit, a sense of self-worth, and a non-oppressive feeling of this world and this, programming that we have. And I can leave that all aside, right? And I can really move into a place where I am my truest, highest self.
And when you look at these dreams that you have and you're recording them, and then you're seeing patterns,
Sure.
they're teaching you're going in that direction,
Right.
that your dreams are telling you, that's resonating with you, of what you need to do. Could you imagine taking the things that we experience in that unlimited world, let's say,
Sure.
and then bringing it into what we would consider a limited world?
Yeah, because that's an unlimited world.
Right.
And I'm bringing it to a limited
We're
world.
bridging.
We're bridging it, right?
Right.
So we're taking a very non-distorted world and bringing it into a distorted, isolated logic box. We can only describe things with words.
Right. No, I
Right?
love that. That's amazing on that. I think that's totally awesome. Well, we're going to have episode 2.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of get into in episode 2, I think we kind of described it really well. So I want to get into like shamanic dreaming,
Awesome.
lucid dreaming.
Yep.
There's like all these different technical.
Yeah, we can talk about some of the ways. We'll walk through some of the practical steps you can take to move to that.
Right.
I'll show you some cues, what you can look for.
And what it all kind of means. And I want us to kind of break it down step by step.
Right.
We talked about your journey. Thank you for sharing that, Alex.
Oh, no
It
problem.
was awesome.
Well, that's why I'm in New Mexico.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
in all honesty, I could show you the logs. I'll show you that I was dreaming about New Mexico and moving here. Here now.
Yep.
Guess what's happening out? I'm sitting here at this podcast and we're chatting it up.
studio.
In a
Yeah.
studio. I guess
And we're
everything's
gonna
working
put
out.
this- we're going to put this out to the world.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We got a website going, and
We got social media assets
we
going.
finally
We got
got
it all
the
going.
logo figured out.
Logos figured out. We're recording video for everybody to
but
watch.
I mean, it's going to be it's as we progress and move forward with higher density living, I think it's going to be awesome. One of the things that I do want to share is as we move in this direction on Instagram Live and YouTube, and we're getting the website up, it's not just going to be a podcast.
No.
We want to, and maybe you can share this before we're done. We want to, and close this out, we want to help.
Yeah, we want to put together a structure where, as you and I are fluidly teaching and learning from one another and the journeys we've had, let's put a structure together so people can start to find their own journey. And that's what we're going to do with Higher Density Living on the website. You're going to find the tools and the resources you need so that you can move yourself through that journey. And you can begin to experience what it means to be in full unity, to understand the self and the other self, to understand that all is one. And you're going to bring yourself there. No one else is going to do it but you, but we'll give you every tool you need to get there.
That's perfect. Well, thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, Jason.